Quite some time ago, I had a conversation with a friend about whether God exists or not. And quite early in this debate, he stopped me and he said that basically we're wasting our time because it is impossible to prove or disprove God's existence. Now, this was for me an extremely nonsensical argument. And when I spoke to other people about it, I found out that without exception, everyone that I spoke to agreed with my friend that it's impossible to prove or disprove God's existence. And it also was quite clear in the conversation with all these people that they were not even interested in looking at the evidence or to go into the question because now it's impossible and it is not worthwhile. Now, this is an extremely nonsensical argument because do you decide on the outcome of an investigation before you look at the evidence? Surely people should at least somehow realize that that is not the way one should do an investigation. One should rather first look at the evidence and then decide, not before you look at the evidence. Now, if you should go and look at the evidence, there's only two outcomes. The evidence can prove to be conclusive or it can prove to be inconclusive. There's no other outcome to an investigation looking into the evidence of any particular question that you might look at. It's either inconclusive or it's conclusive. There's just no way you can say it is impossible to prove or disprove anything. That is a nonsensical argument. Now, so when you want to investigate any worthwhile question, you must look at the evidence. It's as plain and simple as that. Now, whether God exists or not, there is enough evidence to consider. But before I get to that particular evidence which I want to suggest to you, you should consider, I want to first ask a few critical questions about God, because I found that people they move too quickly to questions like evolution, etc., and glance over or not even ask critical questions about God. First question: where is God? Second question: what is the nature of God? And I'm not going to glance over this. I'm going to stick with this question now. Where is God? If you ask people where's God, you simply don't get an answer. Some will say, but he's everywhere. So what does that mean? Does that mean he's in the plants, in animals, in human beings? If he's everywhere, is he in the air? Where is he? What is the agreement between believers that where God is? Now, the last time I checked, there were over 3,000 religions. So, as far as I can make out, there's no consensus about anything about God. So, if he's everywhere, where is everywhere? Where is it? Is it in the air? Is it in living beings? Is it in non-living beings like rocks, etc.? If God is in living beings, what if he's in a tree? What happens to God if the tree dies? Does he jump to another tree? That is the type of question. The answer I'm looking for is, what is the consensus about where God is? Is God an old man with a white beard up in the sky, looking down and listening to each and every person's thinking and thoughts? Is he listening at this moment to each and every person in China? Is he listening to the thoughts of each and every person in India? What is the nature of God? Is he a living being? How old is God? I often hear lately that it seems to me people have come around to this Big Bang theory, and they now understand that it is the evidence for the Big Bang is overwhelming. So now at the moment, scientists can tell us about the Big Bang very shortly after what happened at the Big Bang, millisecond, nanosecond, but very shortly after the Big Bang. But scientists can't tell us what happened before the Big Bang. So now the question arises that what came before the Big Bang? What was before the Big Bang? Now, some people like Stephen Hawking, he said that, well, that is a nonsensical question. It's like asking what's north of the North Pole, which is an answer that doesn't please me or satisfy me. I don't understand an answer like that. Surely there must be something before the Big Bang. But bottom line is we don't know. Hopefully in my lifetime we will still find out. But now what religious folk are doing is their God has become the God of the gaps. So now some people place God now before the Big Bang, and they say, well, if we don't know what happened before the Big Bang, then it is God who created the Big Bang. There are a few issues with that. First of all, on what basis are you saying that God created the Big Bang? Because surely there's no evidence. It must be based on speculation or conjecture. There is just no evidence for that God existed before the Big Bang. That is the one question. The other one is who created God? If God was before the Big Bang and created everything, who created God? That is the question that comes up. Another question is, okay, fine. If God created the universe at the Big Bang more than 13.5 billion years ago, and God is a living being, does that mean God is 13.5 billion years old? That just doesn't make a lot of sense. So here's the deal. There is just no consensus anywhere about where God is, what's the nature of God, how old is God. There is no consensus. The idea of God is a man-made idea, and it's not even that old an idea. It is actually quite recently that people came up with the idea of God, and that is the type of evidence I believe one should consider, that I will deal with at a later episode. But just briefly, people first of all believed in spirits. Then this is now more than 5,000 years and longer ago. And then in the time 5,000 to about 300 after Christ, people started believing in lots of gods. This is now in Egypt and in Greece. And Greek times believed in many gods. And then only after about 300 years after Christ did people started believing in a single God, a monotheistic religion. So it's a fairly recent idea as well. But bottom line is, there is no consensus, and it's based on speculation and conjecture.